If that doesn't make a statement, I don't know what does. I want to thank those who are in the overflow areas, those who have been sitting in the gymnasium, in the 2 cafeterias, in the classrooms. They are all over. We are maxed out here. And for those of you who don't know, it's my understanding that traffic was backed up all the way to Nichols Road. So before I close out, what I want to do, I want to make sure I thank Mayor Panieri for facilitating this tonight. Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank PMCT, Pat, for sponsoring this event. I want to thank our security and custodial staff. It was much appreciated. And I want to thank all of you. Thank you for attending. And I'm not done. I see people leaving. And I'm going to ask that you stay for just 5 more minutes, because what I'd like to do is to share my opinions in regard to the governor, the state education department, and our regents. Usually I speak from the heart, and I don't follow my notes. Tonight, because it's so significant, I'm going to follow my heart and I'm going to follow my mind. So I'm going to follow something that I wrote that took some time, and I know you've been here for a very long time. I'm going to ask you for 5 more minutes, so please bear with me. But I think it'll be worth it. Let it be known that our children's liberties are not in the best interest of the State Education Department nor the governor of this great state of New York. Their obsession with the us versus them mentality, coupled with their fascination of standardized testing, has ascended to an all-time high. It pits one group against another, and that's never best for kids. Us versus them, public versus charter, opt-out testing versus opt-in for reasons that are hurtful to our kids, especially our ELL and our special ed populations. Using meaningful data that serves to inform teachers versus using data that is meaningless. Real teacher accountability framed as a growth model versus a deficit model that seeks to punish. Standards that are developed by K-12 educators versus Common Core standards, which in my opinion are developmentally inappropriate. This battle is getting old, and it continues to fracture the energies of those who try to parent and work with children in and outside of our schools. The battling of sides needs to end tonight, because there is only one side. It's the side that we all need to stand beside, and that's our children. In my opinion, children have been shortchanged since No Child Left Behind. It hasn't worked. It has left millions of children behind, and that's ironic. The problem is we are now caught up in a new paradigm that this governor intends to ram down our literal throats. And I believe it's undemocratic and, in my humble opinion, unconstitutional. He is not the Commissioner of Education, even though he is trying extremely hard to act like one. We are at the apex of the us versus them mentality, and it shouldn't be this way. If our governor and regents would listen to the likes of Sir Ken Robinson, Andy Hargraves, Linda Darling-Hammond, they would learn quite a bit from these giants of educational transformation, not reformation. They seek to build school communities, believe in building each other up and trusting teacher and administrative professional judgment. They don't believe in linking student test scores to teacher and principal accountability. And from where I stand, the exact opposite is happening at this particular moment. And it's coming down like the hammer of Thor from up high. This is a real David versus Goliath story. Right now, Long Island is the Lexington and Concord of the public education revolution. The time is now to do something that will be heard, and that something must focus on what is best for all of our children. I believe in the liberty to teach a well-rounded education that focuses on true learning, not teaching to a test. The liberty ensures a child is ready to be socially, emotionally, and intellectually equipped for life as a productive citizen in our free and democratic society once they exit our school system. Tonight, I am asking that we put to bed our assumptions about power. The power of the state education department and the regents, as well as our governor. Our governor believes in over-testing our children and deforming public education as we know it. I say it's abuse. It's abusive to our students and to all who serve our children in and outside of our schools. This power struggle needs to end tonight. Our governor doesn't appreciate that power can come in other forms such as substituting speed and surprise for strength. As we look to combat Goliath, this giant is destroying and ripping apart the fundamental underpinnings of what a public education stands for, and in my opinion, deprofessionalizing teaching and supervision while spreading blatant lies about how our schools are failing when we know otherwise. This man is withholding funds from our schools, hiding state aid numbers which aid our budget process. What kind of leader operates that way? To me, he's behaving as a bully who can care less about our children, and in my opinion, this needs to end tonight. And the question, I think, as Dr. Rella said, is how? You have heard from many smart people this evening, students, parents, teachers, administrators, who stand on the shoulders of liberty, the freedom to trust the judgment of local control for our children. As children enter our schools, they should do so without fear, where they take tests which don't truly reflect their ability. They believe the only things that matter are ELA and math. They don't think their scores don't just count for them, but they also count for the future employment of teachers and principals in which they care for and love. You have heard time and time again that the 3 through 8 tests are not only developmentally inappropriate for children, but SED continues to predict, like Nostradamus, how many students will fail before they even take the test. Coupled with the fact that these tests are longer than the SAT, the ACT, the GRE, MAT, any AT test, and the bar exam. The same one bar exam that a certain someone failed multiple times. But the funny thing about failing is that it should be looked at as an opportunity to learn. Look at Thomas Edison, Abraham Lincoln, Oprah Winfrey, J.K. Rowling, who all failed often before finding success. Instead, it will be used as a weapon, and I say enough already. Tonight is about David, powered by the courage and faith in finding Goliath's blind spot, the area of vulnerability on this giant. We must remember the powerful and the strong are not always what they seem. This weak spot, in the name of what is truly best for our children, has to do with parental discretion and choice. Inasmuch as a school adheres to in loco parentis, where a child is in school, we act as the parent in the absence of one. A parent's voice as to what they feel is best for their child must be honored. If a parent chooses to have their child refuse the 3 through 8 test, a school district's responsibility should be to honor that. Schools across New York State are having more and more of these requests every day. We must honor a parent's request with dignity. Many of us have sent thousands of emails and letters or have spoken to our legislators. I'm starting to become a bit more hopeful that things are changing. The problem is, this window of opportunity is becoming slimmer by the day. Our school communities need to act swiftly, and they need to begin tonight. So here is what I need from all of you to move forward once you leave here tonight, if you can get out, because it's going to take a while. Superintendents, boards of education, school administrators, I implore you to support a parent's choice in refusing the state test in grades 3 through 8 on behalf of their children. If you are in attendance tonight, you may look to emulate what Shoreham-Wading River, Comswag, Southold, Greenport, in my district has set forth. Provide your parents the opportunity to opt their children out with dignity if they choose so. For all others in attendance, call the governor's office, contact your state assembly, men and women and senators by making appointments to see them. Continue to write these letters, informing them that the governor's proposal is not only bad for all children, but there's no research to prove that it would actually work. Do this every day. The time to lead and have your voice heard is now, because if it's not heard, the alternative is unbearable to think about. In the end, David, not David Gamberg, David, prevailed because he was fearless and believed in his approach in beating Goliath. The liberties of a fundamental, well-rounded education can never be lost in and on our public schools. The arts, the humanities, athletics, extracurricular activities, these experiences are what enables our students to enrich themselves and take part in a free and democratic society. And in closing, I want everyone who is listening to understand, our school and local communities know how to teach, who to hire, how to evaluate staff, when to build anew and harvest the talents of our children, much more than this governor. And that, my friends, is liberty. And liberty will reign in public education. Thank you for coming, and we really appreciate it.